Hello. Today is our first installment of Stretch60, which stretching for about an hour. Uh, Not necessarily yoga, as far as the classes that you might be taken. But if you really know anything about yoga, yoga isn't anything that you do with the mindset of everything is now. Yoga is now. Yoga could be anything we do. Or if you don't even think about yoga as part of your life, that's okay. It doesn't matter. We're here to heal, to feel good, to have a calm, clear state of mind to potentially help you in your day to day mindset and activities and feelings. If we can feel good in ourselves, it's just so much easier to help the world be a better place from one person to the next to the next. If what is going on in the world today is able to spread as fast and as widely as it has, then why wouldn't a frown or a smile be able to spread just as effectively? Because they do, and they will, and it all starts with us. So if we feel good, if we love ourselves, and we can take control of our health, happiness, and freedom, um, the world will be a better place for everyone, no matter who you are, no matter what you believe. Uh, in our classes, at some point, we should be accumulating some props just in case you need to bring the ground a little bit closer, or like, for example, you can't necessarily touch your toes yet, or grab your arms behind your back. A couple of things today, everybody has a towel or a rope or a dog leash or a jump rope or something that is not stretchy. You want it to be pretty taut. So towel, rope, anything long, doesn't matter. Even a long t-shirt or something. And then a pillow or something, or a yoga block or a foam roller, mostly to like lay your head on for a little bit of comfort. Things that you might need to have with you in this class, generally a strap, a yoga block, a blanket or pillow. But today, strap and something to rest your head on. I'll give everybody who's joining either live or on demand a few minutes to find those and then come back and meet me. All right. I'm just going to sit here and wait. We'll wait for a few minutes. It's probably long enough unless your house is ginormous. And if it is, congratulations. That's awesome. It took you a while to go all the way around your house to find something. Otherwise, have that nearby. You don't have to tie it in any special way, but you might need it at some point. So it's good to have it and not have to fumble around looking for it later. So with this class, we aren't trying to heal any specific injuries. If you do have any limitations, please contact me. I would like to help you. Don't just try to get through these things without knowing your limitations, or if you have like a herniated disc or something. There are some things that you shouldn't do, so I would like to have known ahead of time. Otherwise, please listen to your body. If there is any point in time in any stretch where it's not just uncomfortable or it is a sharp pain, please gently get out of that stretch and find something else where you can just sit comfortably, easy seated position or child's pose to kind of recover from that. If you do have some sort of a specific injury or you're rehabbing from something that needs doctor clearance, please have doctor clearance before you do start an exercise program. If you do have a specific injury or when you're trying to heal that with some stretching, please reach out to us. We would love to help. We help with injury prevention and management of both those kind of ends of the spectrum there. So today is the Feel Good stretch for generally every part of your body. Nothing specific to necessarily heal any one thing, but it should give you a nice, good full body stretch, especially if you did the Yoga Fit class. It's nice to stretch out the days afterwards so you don't have soreness and you can realign your muscle fibers optimally to help you strengthen and loosen or create more mobility in your body and your bones and your muscles. All right, let's start off in child's pose. Speaking of child's pose, we'll find big toes to touch, back of the mat. Extend your arms long overhead. Try to press your hips back. Let your forehead touch your mat and maybe crawl your fingertips a little bit further out, stretching under the armpits, trying to lengthen your spine from the crown of your head all the way to the base of your spine. Take a few breaths here. Set yourself up to be calm, to let go, and to just be here with yourself, exploring your body over the next 60-ish minutes. All right. We'll take our right arm, thread the needle across your chest here. Get a nice deltoid stretch on the outside of that right shoulder. So right arm threading through, reaching as much as you can. And then we'll, if possible, in your neck, gaze over your right shoulder and we'll find a little bit of a twist toward the right. Keep the shoulder locked in away from the ears. Give a sturdy joint here. Not too floppy in any one stretch today. The more that you twist toward the right, the more that you'll be separating the muscle fibers and the deltoid, creating length in your shoulders. Should feel good. Inhale, we'll find your child's pose once again. Exhale, reset. Inhale, lift the left arm. Exhale, thread the needle toward left arm across your chest toward the right. And we'll gaze over the left shoulder. Keep the left shoulder down away from the ear. Maybe find a little extra twist toward the left. Real nice in the deltoid here. So much stress we hold in our shoulders and our hips. Even if you're a shoulder sleeper, this is a good thing to do in the morning or even before bed, preparing your body for the day or preparing your body for a nice restful sleep. If it's in the middle of the day, like me, today, hopefully it's a nice, relaxing rest of the day where you just feel great to take on whatever it throws at you. And we'll inhale back to center. Exhale, push back into your neutral child's pose. Hold that for a couple of breaths. And then we'll gently rise up onto your fingertips. Plant the hands right under the shoulders. We'll bring the knees right under the hips. We'll do a few cat-cows and wrist warm-up stretches here to get the spine and the hands ready. Inhale for cow pose. Gazing up, lifting your tailbone. Trying to drop your heart through. Find some spinal extension. Exhale, we'll round, scooping the tailbone under you, pressing through the shoulders, finding a cobra hood or a Halloween cat. Halloween just passed, so that might be a little more fresh in the mind. We'll inhale back to cow position, dropping the heart, lifting the tailbone, gently squeezing your shoulder blades together. Keep your elbows long. Gaze up if it's okay in the neck, or even just a little bit up, not too much. Exhale, find your cat again, rounding the spine, bringing the tailbone downward, flexing your spine, rounding your shoulders, pressing away from the floor. Inhale back to neutral. Knees stacked under the hips, hands right under the shoulders, really wide grip in your fingers. We'll do some wrist stretching here. Leaning forward onto your fingertips a little bit here, and release on an exhale. Inhale, lean forward onto your fingertips. Exhale, back to center. Let's do a few rounds counterclockwise with your breath. Inhale and exhale as you push back. Inhale forward, exhale, push back. Clockwise, change up the direction. A few of those. Keep the round of your shoulders here in this one. All right. Let's sit on the knees or sit on the shins. If this is like impossible for you to do, you can stand up a little bit taller. It's all good. I'm going to sit back to start. We're going to stretch out the wrist, flexion and extension. It's great for you, especially if you do work at a desk or do any sort of hand stuff a lot. We'll push or have the fingertips face the knees. So your elbow crease is facing forward. Really get a wide grip on the floor. Then we'll exhale. Try to get a little more weight into the butt, so your butt gets closer to your heels. And keep the palms of your hands down on the ground. Active fingers to protect your wrists. Elbow crease forward. Maybe as you feel a little more warmth building up here, you can sit a little deeper and deeper with keeping the palms down. Inhale, brings you back forward. Sit onto the shins, grab the wrists, do a little circle action here. Try to unwind a little bit from that extension of the wrist, stretching out the wrist flexors. We're going for the opposite one here. Now, this one's gonna be a little more intense, so be aware of putting too much weight into it. Top of the hands on the floor, fingertips face the knees, elbow crease forward. Try to have all 10 fingertips touching the floor, so pushing the tops of the fingers down. Top of the wrist is still on the mat as you shift a little bit of weight in toward the heels with the butt. That'll bring you into more flexion of the wrist, stretching our wrist extensors. So, right, if you do a lot of handstands or planks or push-ups, your wrist is in extension a lot, shortening those muscles on the top of the wrist. If you do typing or play a piano or paddle boarding, anything, riding a mountain bike, right? We use our hands so much, it's important to keep them healthy, right? And we'll inhale gently around the top of the wrist off to the knuckles. Slowly let them just be little wet noodles for a little bit. Shake them out. Start to get a little more movement in those. Maybe you grab your wrists, give them some circles. Feel it out. Maybe we shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake it out, shake, 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 shake. Relax. Plant the hands back on the floor for your tabletop position. We'll take a down dog here just to feel it out. Really wide grip on your fingers, tabletop, and then we'll lift the knees, push hips up and back to find your down dog. So we're trying to drive the heels down into the floor. Really wide grip on your fingers, shoulders away from the ears. Tailbone might lift up a little bit more, and you'll see as you do that, you find a little more lengthening in the backside of your legs to the calves and the hamstrings. Let's pedal it out. Lift one heel, lift the other, pedal it out a little bit. Stretch out the Achilles, stretch out the calves. Keep doing that with your breath. Find some stillness here, stop the pedals. We'll inhale, tiptoe the feet all the way up toward the top of the mat. Exhale, find your forward fold. Inhale, gently rise up, standing tall, arms overhead. Exhale, let the shoulders drop onto the sides. All right. Release, and then arms back up. We'll grab the right wrist with the left hand, hinging over to the left, opening up through your side body. Push the hip out to the right. Maybe you gaze up toward the ceiling, get a little scalene stretch and sternocleidomastoid. That's the big neck muscles in the front we use a lot these days from looking down at our books or phones or computers. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, grab the left wrist with the right hand, hinge over to the right. Open up to the side body. Maybe you gaze up. Really lengthen it out. Pull the left arm with the right. Try to find some distraction in the joints. Inhale, back to center. Exhale, we'll cactus the arms. Try to have elbows even with the shoulders. Tailbone lengthens down. Just a little tick of the sternum lifting up, broadening the collarbones. Keep your neck neutral. No need to force the look up. Use your spine to help you look up, not your neck necessarily. Well, neck is part of the spine, but the mid-spine. And exhale, release. All right. Coming to the wall, we're gonna get a little extra chest stretch here. Wall, or if you have a doorway, you can also use that. I like to use the crown molding or the molding to get a little extra grip on the side. We're gonna start with the right arm. The left hand will come behind your back to find a little bit more shoulder depression on that left side, like a half bind. And then right elbow on the wall, maybe higher than the shoulder, maybe a little bit lower or even. This is your time to explore and play with the elbow positioning a little bit. You can have the arm more straight, more bent. Feel where it feels sticky. And we'll work from there. Once you find that spot, rotate a little more toward the left, looking toward your left shoulder. Find a nice opening in that right arm. If you ever do have shoulder pain, a couple of things to do. Opening of the front body, strengthening to actively help the body position itself right in the back body. So it's a combination of stretching and strengthening to generally work with rehabilitation or injury prevention. Same thing on the other side. We'll take the right arm behind the back, shoulder down and away from the ear. Left arm comes on the wall. Find that position where it feels nice and sticky. Something that's like, oh yeah, that feels nice. Find that. Right. When we have our arm a little more bent, we're stretching a little more into what's called your pec minor, which is actually attached to the front of your scapula via the coracoid process. There's a little bone right under the shoulder. If we lengthen our arm, that's going to stretch the attachment more on your pec major, which attaches actually in the humerus, so the upper arm bone. So different ways to play with it, get slightly different muscles in the same area. Explore, that's what we're here for. I'm giving you a template, but you can explore, go for it. And we'll exhale to release, wiggle it off a little bit. All right, bicep forward fold. So this is where you might need the strap, right? If you have the strap or you have a towel and you know that you can't grasp your hands, interlacing the fingers and touch the palms together with straight elbows, then you'll grab a strap or a shirt or your towel, whatever you got. You'll grab as close as you can to the hands touching, palms face your butt, and we open up the shoulders, right? It's going to be the same kind of thing as if you were holding your hands. Well, bend the knees, exhale, lift the hands away from the butt, and find a forward fold here. Broadening your collarbones, lifting through your sternum, but keep the head long, let it dangle. Opening up through the biceps here a bit, the front of the shoulders. I'm sure you feel that. The aim of this stretch is to try to get the hands way overhead to come down to the floor behind your head. I don't know, might take me a while to get there if I did this every day for a long time. But some people are just a little more mobile than others. And we'll bend the knees, gently inhale. Neck is the last thing to come up. And we'll release the strap. All right. We're going to work on underneath the arms now. We'll go into a thing called like a wall dog. It's a down dog on the wall, right? We can see this right here. Great. So arms will be out in front. I would say just, this is better. I would say just about shoulder height or maybe slightly below shoulder height. Your feet will be just underneath your hips, and then we'll push back with the feet. As you come down, I want to try to find the feet under the hips in this forward or half forward fold position. Hands on the wall, shoulders away from the ears. You can play with the tailbone here. What does that do, right? If you lift the tailbone up, you're going to feel it a little more in the hamstrings. As you start to bring the tailbone downward to keep your spine long, you'll feel that stretch a little more in your armpits, into the tricep area, right? Try it again. Inhale, we'll lift the tailbone. You'll feel a little bit of a release in your armpit area, and then maybe more stretch in the hamstrings. But then exhale, scoop the tailbone a little bit under you, creating a flatter lower back, and you'll find the abs are engaging, keeping the spine long, and you'll feel the attachment stretching more in the armpits. Right, we do a lot of shoulder or extension of the shoulders where the hands are down a lot, right? Even when driving. So this arm overhead is really unwinding a lot of the things that we just do by being a human, having the arms at our sides, opening it up here. Should give you some more freedom. And we'll gently inhale, round the spine, walk your feet toward the door. If at any time your fingers do get tingly in anything, it's not abnormal. We're stretching the nervous system as we're stretching the muscular system together. They run parallel, very much side by side. You can always reset and then come back into it after you get a little more flow back. Sometimes that happens to me even, right? All right. Wall chest, bicep forward fold, dog, sleeper stretch. Oh yeah, this is one of my favorites. So if you ever played any overhead sports and injured your shoulder, this is probably a stretch that you learned with your athletic trainer or a physical therapist or something, or even if you just like had some sort of a rotator cuff injury in the past. So even if you didn't, this should be good because rotator cuffs are a lot of times very restricted, right? So we want to find the sleeper position where the hips are stacked one on top of the other. The shoulders are also stacked one on top of the other as well. With the right arm, the elbows, even with the shoulder, we'll take the left hand on top of the right wrist bone and start to push into that right wrist to try to get the palm closer to the floor. This is a stretch that you would do in like a bind, right? And if you're doing extended side angle and finding that bind to maybe bird of paradise, this is a nice stretch to prepare for that. Today is not that. Something to think about if you ever are trying to get there to those binds. Relax, take some deep breaths. Holding it. Exhale, let's find a little deeper stretch. All right, as you inhale, gently release. And then either you can just switch on to your body. I'm gonna go to the other side of the mat so you can still get a good view of what my arm is doing, right? So our hips are stacked on top of one another. Shoulders are stacked on top of one another. Maybe you find a support for your head like I did. Tuck the left shoulder underneath you so it's locked in, 90 degrees at that elbow. Right wrist grabs the top of the left wrist, and we'll exhale to try and push the palm of your hand down to the floor. If you're finding that your shoulder is really creeping up to the ear, just reset, lock it in, and then try to find a little more pressure into the wrist once again. One side might be different than the other, especially if you're very much right-handed or left-hand dominant. Exhale, let's find a little more pressure, find even a millimeter lower here. A few more breaths. We'll inhale back to release gently. Nice. One of my favorite upper body stretches for sure. All right, I think we attacked a lot of the upper body. We're gonna start working our way on the lower body here. Let me just check our time. I don't wanna keep you guys too long. Perfect, we're right on time. All right. First one you have, if you have a pillow or a towel or something, and you need it, go for it. If not, and your knee is a little sensitive, you can always fold your yoga mat to create a little more cushion if your yoga mat is thin. First one, we have a low lunge to hip flexor stretch. So the more that back leg, knee is behind you, the deeper the stretch is gonna be. But there's a line here with that. If you can't bring your tailbone downward to take some curvature out of your low back, or if your low back is feeling like crunched a little bit, bring that knee a little bit closer or towards underneath the hip. All right, we're gonna try to find squaring off of the hips here. Tailbone comes down, shoulders away from the ears, left hip forward, right hip back to keep the hips even. Hands behind the head or overhead. You can even find some cactus chest stretch again here. Or hands at the hips to feel the squaring off. You can sink a little bit deeper into that front leg to open it up, but don't lose the engagement in your core and your tailbone lengthening downward a little bit. All right, next, let's drop the right hand toward the floor. We're gonna open up through that left side body with extending the left arm overhead. If you have a block or the foam roller, it's great to have it next to you to create a little more grounding if you can't touch the floor with your fingers. Gaze up, stretching out that neck once again. Maybe you grab the right ear with the left arm, open up through that armpit tricep area once again. Inhale back to center. We'll exhale, step back, tabletop position. Same thing, other side. Right knee on the floor, either under the hip or a little more behind it to find a little extra. Inhale. Low lunge. Find your arm position. Find the squaring off of the hips, tailbone lengthening down, right hip forward, left hip back. Shoulders away from the ears. If you took that little bit of a back bend, go for it again. Find opening in the whole front body fascia, through the pecs, through the abs, through the hip flexor, all the way down the quad to the knee. Exhales, release tension. Inhales, create length. Exhales, create opening. Inhale, create space. Exhale, find a little deeper. All right, maybe you sink into the hip a little bit deeper, deeper. Don't lose the activity in the hips to create stability. We'll drop the left fingertips toward the floor, open up the right side body. Trying to find some sort of connection to the ground with your hand. You can maybe make the foot out a little bit more to get there, unless you have something to bring the ground closer. Open up through the side body. If you took that grab the left ear thing, or on the other side, let's grab right arm, the left ear, open up the side body. Inhale back to center. Exhale, plant the hands. Get yourself to the tabletop position. We'll put the feet together, knees wide. Take a child's pose here for a few breaths. Hold that. All right, well, gently round up. If you have a pillow or a blanket, you need that again for this one, most likely. Or you can fold your yoga mat a few times and make it a little bit more cush. So for this one, this is my favorite quad stretch. I just went to my favorite shoulder stretch. Now I got my favorite quad. This one is called the King Arthur, or I call it the wall quad stretch. We'll put, let's say your right leg is gonna be stretching. The top of the right foot goes onto the wall. The closer that right knee is to the wall, the more intense the stretch will be. And it'll be a little harder to keep the low back flat. So you'll find out very soon if you have to bring your knee a little bit further away from the wall, which is totally fine. Don't worry, we're gonna do this stretch probably kind of regularly because it's really good for us to open up the hips, preparing for back bends potentially too. You would do the stretch, right? So top of the right foot on the wall, the knee as close as you can tolerate toward the wall. We'll inhale into this lunging position, tailbone lengthening downward. Try to bring the right hip forward, left hip back, squaring off the hips. Squeeze the tush a little bit forward. Oh yeah, that feels it. And then tall, stacking the shoulders right over the hips. Arms overhead, where you can find a little bit extra more of a back bend. Open up to that whole front body. Sometimes in these positions too, if your balance is a little bit off, maybe you have a wall nearby or a chair or something, so you can focus on the stretch instead of trying to balance the whole time, because that's a potential thing. Breathe it out. We're still holding. Get through it. Remember, if there's any sharp pains, gently come out. If it's just an uncomfortable, deep, dull stretch, not at the attachment of the muscle, hold it. Stay with me here. And we'll gently fold over, planting the hands on the floor. Bring the left foot back to be on the knee, and then we'll take the right foot off of the wall. So if that one was like impossible for you to do, we'll do another one for the other leg where you would be here. If you have a block or something on the ground at all, maybe you can grab the foot behind you and that might get something for you there. All right, but this one should be mostly accessible if you bring the knee a little bit further away from the wall, right? So top of the left foot on the wall, you can have the heel potentially a little bit more on the outside of the butt. Closer the knee is to the wall, the more intense it'll be. We'll step the right foot forward to get your little low lunge here. Inhale with the strength of the hands and the core, pressing up tall. Trying to keep that front foot under the knee for stability. All right, tailbone comes down. Try to bring hips to level. Usually it's that left hip that wants to come down here. Right hip wants to go up. So we'll do the opposite of that. Right hip down, left hip up. Left hip forward, right hip back. Tailbone comes down. Press the hips a little bit forward. A little squeeze of the tush. Arms overhead. If one side is more intense than the other, that's very normal. Exhale the tension out. Get through the uncomfortable situations. Trust in yourself. Listen to your body. If it's way too much, you can always come out of it. Take a child's pose. It's okay. You'll come back and you'll learn and you'll get there. You can get anywhere you want in life with patience and consistency and a positive outlook. Exhale, fold forward, plant the hands on the floor, and we'll take the right foot off and the left foot off the wall. Oh, my left side is always a little more restricted than my right for probably a few reasons. All right. Moving on, we got the quads opened up. We're going to start working on opening up the back body here. So the first one that we have, lizard lunge. So we got a little bit of the hamstrings warmed up in the beginning with some of those forward folds. All right, with the lizard lunge here, we'll start off just like how you have been in that tabletop position, and then we'll pick the left foot and creep it a little more out toward the corner of your mat, the left corner of your mat with the left foot. Either with yoga blocks or no yoga blocks or books or your foam roller or something, if you can't touch the floor, it'll help the floor come to you, right? Put the hands right on the shoulders. The back leg can lift, or you can keep the back knee down. If this is great where you're at and you're feeling a nice stretch right in the meat of the hamstring, hold it here. Try to find the shoulders down away from the ears and the heart busting through your chest forward, right? We'll try to find a lifting through the sternum and a broadening of your collarbones. If you can get your forearms to the floor, we go for that too, a little bit of a deeper variation, and lift the back leg. I like to rock back and forth here a bit. Find a little bit of a like dynamic stretch of the hamstring as I slightly extend the knee in the front and then slightly flex. You'll feel a difference. If your forearms are on the ground, still try to find a nice long open chest, open spine, long spine, open chest. Deep hip flexion is really important. You don't do a lot of that. Remember the babies, those kids, they squat so beautifully. And then we lost that because of how we sit, how we drive, right? We don't have to lose that. It doesn't have to be that way. We can work it. We can get a little bit better, no matter how old you are, with consistency and patience. Deep hip flexion is a human movement, and it really helps your back to open up. We'll drop the back knee, plant the hands. Hey, all right, sorry for that. And step back into your tabletop position. That's where my water bottle was. Right foot on the right corner, top corner of the mat. the ankle pretty much right under the knee, right? Long back leg, think of a lizard tail. Hands underneath the shoulders, maybe a rocket here, up and back, forward and back. If you took a little bit of that deeper variation here, forearms on the ground, we'll try to find that again, right? Long spine, try to find the broadening of your sternum. Open up the collarbones. Exhale is fine, maybe some tension release. And plant the hands and you push up or just be where you were. And then we'll exhale toward that plank, drop the knees. And we'll sit on the shins again, open up the quads, and it's a little bit easier this time around, or maybe it's just a little bit better than it was last time. That's all we can ask for. All right. I want to open up the groin slightly here too. If you have a tight groin, which most people probably do have, something to help the positioning of your low back would be to have some sort of blanket or towel. If you had that nearby, sit on it with a little pillow. If not, don't worry about it. We'll still work with it because you can still do the position. All right, feet together, heels together. Try to get your heels in as much as you can towards your groin. Grabbing the balls of your feet, press your elbows into the calves and try to open up the soles of your feet like a book. Use the outside of your hip musculature to open up actively as you use a little bit of those outside fulcrums in your elbows to help, or external levers to help press. If you can try to find a forward fold with a flat, as much as you can, flat spine, go for that. Can you bring your chest toward the floor? Open up the hips. Inhales, lengthen the spine. Exhales, find a forward fold, even if it's a millimeter or even if it feels like nothing, you're still trying. Something I've been working on for a while. I had an old injury in my groin in 2006 and 2013 or something, 2014, and it's still lingering. I can feel it sometimes. And in these stretches, it reminds me of your past. You know, some things you try to let go of, and some things just stay with you and they remind you of life, and just living it is not the easiest thing, but we still get through it and we still thrive. So that's a win. We're still thriving. Gently inhale, slowly release. So let's shift your positioning here. If you were facing the same way I was, if you're facing the length of your mat, just release downward, keeping that Baddha Konasana. Now we're Supta Baddha Konasana. Opening the hips. We have 3 different pigeon or figure 4 variations coming up. If there's any one that you are just unable to access, hold the previous one or for a little bit longer. That'll work just as well. First one, the most passive one, we'll have our reclined figure four. So right ankle on top of left knee to open up this right side butt or the glute medius and IT band. Ankle on the knee, press the pinky edge of your ankle into the knee to protect outside of the right knee. We'll thread the needle, either grabbing the shin or the hamstring, shoulders away from the ears, lower back still touching the floor, and then we'll bring in that left leg a little bit more to stretch slightly more to the side of the right leg. Even if you're not feeling anything here, it's still doing positive things for your body. We're working that angle, we're working that motion, we're working the muscles and opening them up the way they need to. It doesn't always have to be that deep stretch feeling to get the job done, right? We're so used to just going to one end of the spectrum or other, instead of always meeting somewhere in between. Floor, release the right foot onto the ground. Inhale, left ankle coming. Pinky foot pushes into the knee, protecting outside of the left knee. Thread the needle in front of the shin or behind the hamstring. Shoulders relaxed, tailbone touches the floor. Relax your eyes, relax your brow, relax your jaw. Release, melt into your mat. And gently release the right foot down to the floor, and then we'll inhale to take off the left leg. Give yourself a double knee hug just to even it out a little bit. All right, a little second level of this reclined figure four. We're going to use the wall once again, or a couch or something that's behind you that can support your back. You know, give yourself a hug, round up, or however you want to. Right, so this one here, this is going to be a little more thumb side of it. Right? Okay, long legs, the back as close as you can to the wall or your couch or whatever it might be. Right ankle on the left knee, and plant the hands on the ground. We'll try to bring in left heel as close as you can get to the butt with keeping a tall spine here. Right? This is the second level of that reclined figure, working towards pigeon. Earlier, we opened up the hip flexors and those low lunges and the wall stretch over there. So now we're opening up the posterior side and those glutes to see if we can get the components of the full pigeon before we get to the full pigeon. Right? When you're laying on the floor in sleeping pigeon or even the lifted version, there's big muscles being stretched, the hip flexors, the quads, and this lateral hip musculature in the glutes. So we can open these up individually. We can put it together and have a better chance at feeling successful in your pigeon or being able to relax into it versus creating tension. This one could be intense, right? The closer the heel is to the butt, the more intense it is. Let's start to wiggle the foot back out, back out, back out. Cradle the foot to release gently, and then we'll bring that right foot out. All right, readjust your back onto the whatever it is behind you. If it moved, we'll bring, you can probably bend this a little bit. Left ankle on top of right knee. Plant the hands on the floor. That might help keep your butt there, or just drag it maybe a bit, right? You'll see that your back is going to come off the floor, off the wall, and your butt comes forward. Try to find a long spine as best as you can. Left pinky pushes into the knee of the foot. Activating outside of the calf, those muscles that cross the left knee joint will help protect the knee. We don't want to create injuries while we're trying to heal the body. There are some stretches that you can do, well, a lot of stretches you can do with props that will be much more passive because you can be grounded and lengthened with props. But without props, we have to remain active to create stability in the joints, to have proper alignment. It's really important. Props help you to be passive. Without props, unless you're perfectly aligned, super open, stable person, you really have to create that stability by having active muscles surrounding the joint. The knees, low back, neck, and shoulders, most commonly injured areas of the body. All right. You can tickle the foot down a little bit, the right foot to open or lower the knee, and then curling that left leg, we'll bring it down to the floor gently. All right, so we prepared for pigeon. We're gonna go for it here now. If pigeon seems impossible, we don't have any props yet to make yourself on properly, go back to this stretch on the wall that we just did here, if that was something that felt real good for you, right? So for pigeon, we'll start in the top position. Let's come to down dog. We'll lift the right leg and then exhale, step through. Find your right knee, even with the left or with the right hip, the right ankle, and check out the back leg. Try to find alignment from ankle to knee to ankle on that side. We'll try to square the hips and shoulders away from the ears. So right hip back, left hip forward, right pinky edge of the foot pushes into the ground, tailbone comes down toward the floor. If this is enough, we hold it here, right? If you want to get a little deeper into it, we exhale, find your forward fold. Your hands can be anywhere you need to, right? They can be here. You can go down onto your forearms. You can come all the way down, straight arms, and release the head to the floor to find the most passive version of this stretch we can. So much tension is in our hip, our shoulders. To have stability, or to have balance. The hips are built to be the most stable thing in our body. Obviously, that's where really all of our energy stems from. But it is important to create balance so that you don't have malalignments that could create tension in other places or compression. Your shoulders are one of the most mobile joints in your body. So we don't want to have too much tension there. That's how you create malalignments in your shoulders. So we create balance with strengthening and stretching. Or foam rolling as well, obviously helps. If your thoughts are starting to creep in, telling you something that is not comfortable, try to have your exhales be louder than your thoughts. Your breath controls your mind controls your body, but you are in charge of everything here that you want to hear. This is your body. Listen to it, also speak positively and breathe. Gently start to reposition your hands so your palms can be on the floor, and we'll inhale to press up. You can roll onto the right side of the right hip, and then we'll swing the left foot around, and we'll just go right into the pigeon on the left side. So try to have the right ankle even with the left ankle even with the left knee, and we'll start to swivel out that back leg and then rotate on top of the right thigh. Right. So you'll notice if your knee starts to bend more in the front, it's less intense. If we're at a close to 90-degree angle in the front knee, it'll be a little more opening in that left hip, right? Left heel, even with left heel, even with right knee and right ankle. Find that line. We'll plant the hands, tall, lengthen tailbone downward, stretch out that back hip flexor. You're already prepared. And plant the hands on the floor. We'll start to find your sleeping pigeon, forearms, hands, or arms long, however you can get down and find that forward flexion. Don't forget about pushing the left pinky edge of the foot into the mat a bit to activate outside of the calf. Protect the lateral left knee. Keep holding, keep breathing. Remember, if your thoughts are starting to get louder, breathe heavier, breathe louder. You're so close. Get through the tension. If there's a sharp pain anywhere, come out, please. Press into your palms. We'll gently push yourself back up. Roll onto the left hip. Swing the feet around, and we'll lay on your back. Setting up for a few hamstring stretches before we have our final postures. Right. You can grab your strap, or if you don't even have a strap, we can still work around that with grabbing some behind the knees if you can't touch your toes. All right, so the right leg long. Try to keep the hips even. So check that out from the beginning. Feel your hip bones here, right? Are they even? Is the left hip trying to creep upward? Try to find downward push of your left hip, and then maybe a little hitch of the right hip up. Straighten the left leg. We'll grab behind the knee to start. Long leg. Let me get some ankle rounds here. Roll it out the ankle a bit. All right. If you have a strap or something, we can go for putting the strap on the ball of the foot. Just grab it. All right. Flex the ankle up toward the knee. Stretch out the calf a little bit more. Maybe we gently pull in the foot. Try to keep your head relaxed, shoulders relaxed down on the ground. If you can touch your toe, you're probably already grabbing peace finger bind there. And gently bend the leg, release the strap, release the whatever you have there. You go same thing on the right side. Find hips even as you bend into the hip, bend the knee, grab behind the knee or just on the hamstring behind the knee. Readjust the hips to try to find right hip down, left hip up, squaring off the hips. Either pulling in here from behind the knee, or using the strap around the ball of the foot, or your peace finger bind on the big toe. Find a little more length. Right, left hip up, right hip down, square off the hips. It makes a difference. I just got a nice little adjustment after doing that in my hamstring. If you're peace finger binding, release that. Grab behind the hamstring. Let's do a couple ankle rolls or whatever you have there. If your hands are behind the knee, keep them there. Ankle rolls, roll it out. If we got that side. And we'll gently bend the knee, exhale. And feet on the floor. We'll take one more here, happy baby. So knees into the chest. Either grabbing peace finger bind on both big toes or hands on the outside of the feet. Knees trying to push toward the floor or pull with your hands toward the floor. 90 degrees at the knee joint. Lower back pressing into the floor. You'll feel a difference there. If you want to go super happy baby, straighten out the legs one at a time or both. I like this into the groin, hamstring region. As you turn to happy baby, maybe you get a little deeper, knees toward the ground. Give yourself a hug. We'll take a twist. Arms wide, like a T or a cactus. Knees come toward the left side. Try to reach toward the left with your left hand to find a little more shoulder blade on the right side to the floor. If you reach to the left, your right shoulder blade has a better chance of getting down. And you can find a little bit of a chest stretch here as well. Gazing to the right. Inhale to center. Exhale, knees even with the hips, and we'll go toward the right side. And we reach out with the right hand. Left shoulder blades come a little bit more down to the ground. If you're like me, my left side's a little bit harder to twist. And put some overpressure on the hip to get a little deeper. Gaze to the left. Inhale back to center. Give yourself a double leg hug in here. Inhale. We'll take a few breaths in Shavasana. Let the body feel the goodness that you gave it today. Grateful for you. Grateful that our bodies are able to even attempt to feel good. Taking your health and your wellness into your own hands is one of the most important decisions that you'll ever make in your life. I know I'm here guiding you through this, but it is your choice to do it. It is your choice to be here. And that is an unteachable thing. That is something that is within you that you have to find to get here. And right here is exactly where you need to be. Start to wake up the body a little bit, wiggle out the wrists, the ankles, start to move a little bit more, bring the arms overhead, stretch it out. Like you just woke up from a beautiful little cat nap. Roll into the left side. Use your left hand like a pillow. The right hand will be like a little kickstand to gently push you up into a comfortable seated position. There is a mantra that is my favorite, really. It brought me into become deeper with myself and the world around me and see things in a different perspective, not negative or positive in any one way, but we're going to sing it and then I'll tell you what it is. I'll sing it to you and then I'll tell you what it is. So it goes like this. I'll inhale. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om. What that means, it is Sanskrit, so unless you know what that means, you're not going to have any idea. Neither did I in the beginning. It's a beautiful sound. It resonated with me even without knowing what it was. But what it means is, may all beings be happy and free, and may our thoughts, actions, words, and contributions to the world set them off on that happiness and freedom. That's what we all want for each other at the end of the day. So take that with you, see the world that we all are connected and we all want to be happy, free, and well. So thank you for being here today, trying to create that happiness, freedom, and wellness for yourself and for all of us together. Namaste. Enjoy your day. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, feel free to reach out to us either via feelgoodeyoga.com. You can have contact us there, or at cloudstudios.com/feelgoodeyoga. We have links on the top of that to find blocks, straps, yoga mats, foam rollers, and such. Also contact us there if you have any questions about any of today's stretches or how to potentially relieve certain things in your body. I would love to hear about them so I can evolve these classes to fit anybody, and especially those of us who are coming regularly. And I love to connect with the community. Thank you so much.